guys, and welcome back to Belle's Books. How are you today? I am very good. I spent today being extremely productive and working on one of my essays that I have to submit after Christmas. So before we get started, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you would like to see more of my content. I really appreciate it when people do this. It makes me feel like people are enjoying the stuff I'm putting on the internet, and I just really appreciate it. Today I'm going to be talking about 1Q84. So it's like almost the year 1984, except for there's a Q instead of the 9, and that is intentional by the author. It's something that kind of gets picked up and very much plays into the story. It's not one of those books where the title is irrelevant, if that makes sense. So technically this book is actually 3 books in one, and I'm going to review all 3 at once, but kind of treat them as if they're one book, if that makes sense. So this series is by Haruki Murakami, and it was originally written in Japanese, so obviously I was reading a translation into English. And the thing about this book is that I know it's not new news. I think it was translated into English in like 2011, but I feel like it must be on a lot of people's to-read lists. And it's kind of one of those intimidating books where you're like, I really want to read it because then I can say I've read it, but is it really worth reading? And every time I sit down to read it, I kind of get distracted, blah, 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 blah. On it goes. So I'm here to talk to you about whether or not you should read this book. So the important thing to understand, if you stop watching this video right this second, the characters in this book are incredibly human and the plot is incredibly magical, almost unbelievable. And this weird paradox between normal and abnormal is what makes the book so interesting and so engaging and so exciting to read, in my opinion. So the key characters are Aomame and Tengo. So Aomame and Tengo are the same age, but they're living very separate lives. They're not together in any way. Aomame has a mysterious career choice which you will learn about if you read the book, and Tengo lives quite a plain, boring life, and he's a part-time teacher and a part-time writer. Eventually, the lives of the 2 characters converge, and this is a process that is really gradual and happens over the course of the entire book from beginning to end. So the book is a kind of strange combination of fantasy and science fiction. There are parallel worlds or universes, and it's incredibly interesting to read and uncover that kind of mystery. So the other thing you should know about this novel is that it is a love story between Aomame and Tengo. This being said, it's not especially romantic, it's not a romance story, it's just a love story. The story was interesting and the characters were interesting, not only main characters but also the secondary characters, the kind of sub-characters as well. It was very difficult to resurface into the real world when I was reading this book. I kind of just wanted to stay in the fictional universe. So one of the topics that Murakami really gets into in this novel is cults, the presence of them, the effects of them, and the people within them. Another topic is domestic violence, and although the novel isn't graphic, this is a topic that is dwelt on for many pages, so I would suggest that if you're sensitive to that kind of material, then this might not be the book for you. So the overall atmosphere of the novel is slow, it's luxurious, it's a movement that you kind of have to revel in. It can be very dreamlike and it is very magical. So if you're thinking of reading this novel, you definitely should, for all of the reasons I have already said. However, there is one key reason that you might not want to read this book, and this is the reason that most negative reviews are centered around. It is long, and the plot moves slowly, and the plot doesn't wrap itself up. There are no neat ends, nothing is all tied up and comfortable. There is none of that. And by the way, when I say it's long, it is long. 1,200 pages long. A different writer could probably have made it a third of the length and gotten the same amount of actual plot in. But what Murakami does is he pads it out with a bunch of description. You really get to know the characters and you get to know all of the things they do, the mundane things, down to the really tiny, nitty-gritty, very specific things that a normal writer would be like, that's too boring for this book. Murakami's like, no, we are going to watch this man make his meal and we are going to enjoy it. And to be honest, I did enjoy it. I really enjoyed those scenes where just nothing interesting was necessarily happening for the plot, but it was just watching someone kind of do something interesting. it was very narrative, it was very descriptive. But if you don't want to kind of revel in those moments, if you don't think you're going to enjoy them, then honestly this book is just going to feel like a waste of time for you. So you have to have a really specific goal when you're going in to read. I actually saw this really hilarious graph that I'm going to add on the screen right now, and I feel like this gives you a little bit of an understanding of how mundane and strange the content of 1Q84 can actually be. If you've read anything by Murakami, then this graph might be hilarious, but if you haven't, then it probably just doesn't make any sense, so apologies for that. So overall, I would just let you know that it is an excellent book. It is, in my opinion, a very literary, very complex. It's just a really good read, but you need to make sure that you're reading the book for the experience of reading it. You need to make sure that you're reading it because you're excited to spend hours like absorbing the words and learning about these people, rather than a hope that you're going to find an exciting plot, you're going to find a neat ending, etc, etc. If you can kind of make this mental switch, then I think you'll really like it and it's a worthwhile read. But otherwise, I think that you'll just spend the time reading it, being frustrated with it, and then when you come to the end of the reading experience, just feel like that was a massive waste of my time. I don't know, I'll let you decide for yourself whether you think this book is for you, but I hope this video has helped you make that decision and whether or not you're going to read it. If you have read it or you are going to read it, then please leave a comment down below letting me know why you're reading it or what you thought of it. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe for more content, and of course you can follow me on my Instagram at bellsbooks. Bye!